Hey, you made it. It is now Friday, February 24th, the final episode of this week for the Locked On Penguins podcast. We have a lot to cover today, as you all can see from the YouTube audience. My wonderful black lab, Thrawn, is having the time of his life on the sofa. It looks like he's probably going to get down. My German Shepherd is also in here as well. Yep, he is getting down and knocking over stuff because that's who he is. But for today's episode, Kasperi Kapanen is on waivers, what that means now and going forward for the Pittsburgh Penguins, how that was a colossal failure for Ron Hextall. That's coming up right after this drop. And we're going to get into Ron Hextall's press conference and what he had to say about them being a buyer versus a seller. It's all coming up right after this.
You're Locked On Penguins, your daily podcast on the Pittsburgh Penguins, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Locked On Penguins podcast. I'm, of course, your host, Hunter Hodes. You want to follow me on Twitter at Hunter Hodes. Follow the show's Twitter at Eleanor Penguins. And, of course, thank you all so much for making this your first listen of the day. We are free and available on all platforms. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, the official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more. You can visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn today to get started. And speaking of the show in general, the YouTube audience is growing at a substantial rate. In the last month, 61 new subscribers. We're up to 852 right now, 148 away from 1K. That is my next short-term goal for the channel. It also gets monetization for the channel. Thank you all so much for continuing to grow that channel. And just thank you all so much for continuing to listen as well. You know, the audio is continuing to boom as well. So let's jump right into this. The big news of the day in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. As you can see, the sun is coming in here a little bit, recording this about 5 o'clock in the afternoon on Friday. A lot colder today. 70 on Thursday, 35 today with wind chills in the 20s. Fake spring at its finest in the 412. But with that, Kasperi Kapanen placed on waivers. I knew something was up when I saw he wasn't at practice. We all saw the trade rumors. I'm like, okay, is he going to be held out for trade-related reasons? A lot of other teams have been doing that. Nope. Ron Hextall informed Mike Sullivan before practice that he will be placed on waivers. That just goes to show that no one wanted him on the trade market. And it's kind of hard to not see why with that. And, this move, this just goes to show, Yins, what a colossal failure that 2-year, $6.4 million deal was just 8 months ago. 8 months was all it took to get Kasperi Kapanen basically out of town. We'll get to if he'll clear his waivers in just a second. But I kept telling people, I told people the day that deal was signed, it's going to look bad. It was a stupid decision. You're basically giving him a raise for having a bad year. And some people told me, like, Hunter, you don't know what you're talking about. He's going to surprise you, all that stuff. Did he, though? Did he, though? No, he did not. And, you can certainly make the case that Brock McGinn should have been put on waivers over Kapanen. I mean, he's gone 24 straight games without a point at this point. But, Kapanen, he's played 162 regular season games with them, 29 goals, 53 assists. If my math is correct, that's 82 points. I mean, so half a point per game. Usually you think, oh, that's okay. Not bad production for a bottom six player. But then you go to this year, right? And you look at what he's done. I'm just pulling up his hockey reference here, just real quick. I know, I'm terrible. I didn't have that pulled up to start. And you look at his stats this season. Only 7 goals in 43 games, 20 points in 43. So again, half point per game there. It's not good enough. 7 goals when you're getting paid $3.2 million, and we played almost 60 games of this season, unacceptable. That's not enough. And, Ron Hextall said it best. We thought he was going to be a bit better this season. We rewarded him with that contract. It didn't work out that way, and we needed to make a change. And you all are probably wondering, is he going to get claimed? My answer, no. What team is going to take him? Anaheim, maybe. Chicago. Columbus. Other than that, I can't think of a team that's going to claim him. Vancouver, maybe, with the Jim Rutherford connection. Other than that, I don't know who's going to take him. I think he's going to go unclaimed, and they're going to have to reassign him to Wilkes-Barre. And at that point, I believe if cap friendly, if that's right, if they're right there, and I'm sure they are, he's still going to count $2 million against the cap when he's not even playing. Like, but what are we doing here? You knew this was going to be such a bad deal. I should say, most people knew it was going to be such a stupid deal when it was signed. And yet, he still went out and did it and defended it and said he's going to be a different player. Ron Hextall, that is, and yada, yada, yada. That was a bad year for him. We expect more out of him. No, man. No. He's been this kind of player his entire career. That's not going to change. He was good during the shortened season because he caught lightning in a bottle playing next to one of the greatest players of this generation. People really thought he was going to keep up. He had 30 points in 40 games that season, 2020, 2021, right? Jens thought he was going to keep up that and have a 60-point season in 82 games? No. That was never going to happen. I mean, no. And I hate to say this wasn't deserved. It was. But nothing sums up the Ron Hextall tenure. This was a perfect tweet. I didn't come up with this one. I came up with the other one where I said that, it just goes to show how much of a failure it was. But from Adam Gretz, the whole Ron Hextall era, it's summed up by waiving Kapanen only 8 months after signing that contract. And oh yeah, you still need to send someone else down to create salary cap space to bring back Jan Rutta, who was just signed 8 months ago as well, when you didn't even need to sign him because they had 6 to 7 quality defensemen. Oh man, I'm sorry. I can't. It's hilarious. And I'll get to Ron Hextall's comments in just a second because his comment about the salary cap has something to do with this. But man, if those two tweets don't sum up Ron Hextall's tenure so far, what does, man? What does? He even admitted that part of this was due to Jan Rutta coming back. It looks like he is going to play on Saturday. The defensive pairings today, Dumoulin Letang, Pedersen, Petrie, and Joseph and Rutta. So it looks like Chad Rutta will be a healthy scratch. They still need to do something else. And you're probably wondering, Hunter, what is that? I'll try to tell you here. So with Kapanen being on place on waivers, if someone claims him, they do not have to do anything else. $3 million goes off your books, get salary cap space, good stuff. But if he doesn't go unclaimed, goes down to Wilkes-Barre, you still need to clear, I believe the number per cap friendly in Puck PD is like 1.15 million, something like that. It's right around there. So you have to send someone else down or put someone else on waivers. 2 names come to mind. Mark Friedman, but Mark Friedman is also hurt right now. He practiced today in the extra role. I don't really know how close he is to playing. If he's hurt, you can't put him on waivers. And yes, he will need waivers to go back down to Wilkes-Barre. What they may have to do is send Drew O'Connor down, go 11-7 because Danton Heinen is going to be in the lineup tomorrow. And they might only have to play with 11 forwards and 7 defensemen. Genius masterclass stuff from the Penguins general manager right there, folks. That's what might have to happen tomorrow. Just a total epic dumpster fire from him. And this was all avoidable. You didn't have to give him that $3.2 million. You didn't have to give Jan Rutta $2.75 million. You didn't have to sign any of them at all. It's just, I'm going to get more fired up the more I talk about it. But yeah, that's what this means for now and the future. Cross your fingers that someone takes Kasperi Kapanen. I'm not betting on it. The smart bet is on no one claiming him, but they'll have to make another move. So yeah, yay. That's the big news of today. Coming up in the second segment, Ron Hextall had a surprise media conference today. I'm going to get into the main points that I took away from it. Are the Penguins going to be buyers or sellers at the deadline? What kind of deal is he looking for? And his comments about the team in general. And then later on in the show, we're going to preview the game against the St. Louis Blues on Saturday. But before we get to that, let's take a second to talk about Built Bar. If you're looking for a delicious treat but don't want all that fat and calories, then you got to try Built Bar. We just got through the holidays, and I know my goal is to eat a little healthier this year. If you're like me, when you want to eat healthier but don't want to compromise taste, then man, I've got just the thing for you. You got to try Built. With Built, healthy is actually tasty. Seriously, they're so delicious that you won't think they're good for you. They're perfect for your New Year's resolution, and even though New Year's is almost 2 months past at this point. I'm not sure how Built does it, that these bars taste like a candy bar while maintaining amazing macros. And what's even better is that they are also healthy. Only 130 calories and 4 grams of sugar, and with a whopping 17 grams of protein. So you can head to your nearest Walmart today, Sam's Club, get your local flavors there, cookies and cream, double chocolate, coconut puffs, all that good stuff. You can thank me later when it comes to that. All right, I'm back here in this episode of the Locked On Penguins podcast. I'm, of course, your host, Hunter Hodes. Remember to follow me on Twitter at Hunter Hodes, follow the show's Twitter at Penguins. And of course, thank you all so much for making this your first listen of the day. So, very surprise press conference today from the man, the myth, the legend, Ron Hextall. And okay, what is this? Just saw this on my Twitter. Wow. Okay, this is big news. Warner Bros. Discovery tells teams it wants out of the regional sports network business. That's okay. That affects the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Vegas Golden Knights. I'm going to get to that in just a second. Anyways, there's a chance that AT&T Sportsnet might not be a thing anymore. Okay, so we're going to punt that. We're going to table that conversation for later. But again, Ron Hextall spoke to the media today. His first time speaking in just a few weeks. Definitely think the fans had something to do with that, by the way. I'm just saying, they don't chant that fire Hextall last night. I don't think he comes out today and speaks. I'm just reading into that. But he had a lot of things to say today. You're all are probably wondering, if you're not on social media and stuff, what are the Penguins' plans at the deadline? So he was asked by a couple other members of the media, and the Penguins are not selling. That's not in their MO. I've come around a little bit on it. I've said I wouldn't mind if they sold off some assets to try to get better for the offseason, a la Washington Capitals, but this is not how the Penguins operate and have operated during the Crosby-Malkin era. Even when they stunk in 2014-15, they still bought at that deadline. Jim Rutherford went out and got, didn't he go out and get Daniel Winnick at that trade deadline, I'm pretty sure, for their bottom six? He also went out and got, I believe he swapped, was it for that deadline? I believe it was when they went on and got Maxime Lapierre for Marcel Gotch. Went on and bought. They had no reason to. They could have just punted. But no, this is not how this organization operates. But the kicker with that is this. Hextall did say he is not in the rental market. He is not interested in trading futures or any assets for the rentals. He said if they are going to make a deal, and it sounds like they will, and it's going to be for someone who can help now and can help later on. So that means a player with term. I want Jacob Chychrun. For those that did not see, check out Rob Rossi's article in The Athletic. Penguins have been linked to Chychrun. Mike Sullivan wants him. The coaching staff wants him. Hextall is hesitant to do it because he doesn't want to give up a 2025 and 2026 first round pick. I'll get to that in just a second. Get my full details on that. Get my full thoughts on that. But I agree with Ron when it comes to that part of the deadline. If you want to go out and make a deal and try to help the team, if you're not selling and you're not punting on this season, it has to be a player that has term. They got lucky that Rickard Rakell came back because that was probably going to be a rental. He's usually doesn't go after rentals there. But that's where I think someone like Chychrun makes sense because he has a lot of term left on his deal. He's very young, only making 4.6. That also, I will say this, Timo Meier makes sense there. He's only an RFA after this season. That's not rentals. Most RFAs sign back with their own teams unless you rarely see an offer sheet these days. Could be someone else, but those are the two that pop into my mind. Maybe he's going after someone else. But in terms of looking at their deadline plans, they plan to buy. You all can disagree with that. I kind of disagree with it a little bit, but that's what he is going to do, or that's what his plan is as of right now. Now, he also did say a couple other interesting things. He was asked about Jeff Carter. He goes, I think you look at our bottom six. For some reason, it hasn't quite fit. We're trying to find pieces that would fit. Oh my God. Oh my God. For some reason, it hasn't fit. For some reason. I wonder why, Mr. Hextall. I wonder why it hasn't fit. Is it A, the players aren't that good? B, the players drive no offense? Or C, all of the above? If you circled C on your multiple choice exam, you would be correct. Almost everyone in the bottom six is bad. There, I answered your question. I don't know why he has to just frame it like that. Most people that saw this bottom six going into the season knew it was going to stink. At least I felt like most people on Penguins Twitter, most people that cover the team, at least that was the consensus I was getting. I was saying that all to you all, if you all were listening to the show at that point. I was saying that was one of the biggest weaknesses I had, or one of the biggest issues I had about this team from the offseason going into this season was how bad the bottom six was going to be. Thankfully, I was actually right about something. You know, sometimes it's not always the case. But, you know, it's almost like, wow, you know, we're all trying to find the guy who did this here. And then he got told about Carter. I think Jeff has done some good things. I think at times he's played well. There's times where he could play better than he's played, but overall, he's a big face-off guy for us. He's a penalty kill guy for us, and he fills a role. You know, I don't even want to waste my time on that. You know, he's delirious. Jeff Carter's done nothing all year. I'm going to leave it at that, to say the least. You know, he also said he understands the chance from last night. He says, but you're not going to change what he does and does not do. You know, again, whatever, I guess when it comes to that. There's another quote that I did see here. If I can try to find it. Cap. I'm trying to. Oh, yeah. He said this. Yeah, after he said the bottom six. You look at our bottom six, for some reason, pieces haven't fit. We try to give the coaches the options we can give them. We are in a tight cap situation, which we're trying to rectify here. We're in a tight cap situation, which we're trying to rectify here. Gee, who did this? We're trying to find the guy who did this meme here. I don't know, Jens, who did it? Was it A, Brian Burke, B, Ron Hextall, C, me, D, my German Shepherd dog here who's taking a nap on my sofa? It's not my dog. It's not me. It's not Brian Burke. I don't even know what he does. But, you know, it's your fault, Ron, that you have salary cap problems. Hi, Teddy. I know. I got a little fired up about that. Again, he didn't have to sign Jan Ruda. He didn't have to sign Brock McGinn. He didn't have to sign Kasperi Kapanen. He didn't have to sign Jeff Carter. It's his fault. Obviously, I understand, you know, not every deal is going to work out in your favor. Hindsight's always 20/20. He said that during his press conference, yada, yada, yada. But, again, it's kind of your fault. It is your fault, Ron. You should not be in this much cap hell right now when, and I apologize for this last night, Malkin and Letang are making $6 million. I said 7.1 last night. Apologies on that. Just had a little bit of a brain fart. And Winstead's making 8.7. Like, what are we doing here, man? Like, what the hell are we doing here? Like, it's just, you know, a whole lot of nothing burger, I think, from that Hextall press conference, other than they're going to be buyers of the deadline. Even that's risky. He thinks they have what it takes to make the playoffs. We'll see. I'm not confident in it right now. That's for sure. But, yeah, I think that's really all I have to say about Ron Hextall. I will say real quickly here before we go to our final commercial break, did see the article about Jacob Chychrun, my overall thoughts. It makes sense for the Penguins because I think, you know, I've read a few places that they want a long-term left-handed solution for their defense. But Jacob Chychrun is not a number one defenseman. You know, he scores a lot of goals, which I think overrates him a little bit. I think he's a strong number two on a cup contender, you know, good in his own zone, but I don't think he's close to a number one that people are making him out to be. I actually understand why Ron Hextall is balking at that asking price. 2 first-round picks plus a lot more for him. I think that's a little much even for me. I also understand because 2025, 2026, we're 2-3 years away from now. You know, how bad is the team going to be at that point? You know, those could be lottery picks for all we know. Yes. So I understand that to a degree. Now, Pierre LeBrun did say in his rumblings blog today that the Penguins are very much in Chychrun sweepstakes. So we'll have to see what happens there. But I understand why Hextall balked at it. But also, I think what Rob was trying to paint there seems to be a little bit of friction between the head coach and the general manager. And I've heard from a couple of people that Mike Sullivan's not the biggest fan of this GM. So that there would kind of imply that. Just saying. Obviously, it would make sense. I think, getting a strong left-handed D is a big need for this team. But right now, I think maybe getting another goalie and getting some help for the bottom six is, even more prudent for the general manager than a defenseman. Maybe you can get, say, you want to get the defenseman now, wait till the summer to get your new third line center goalie. Okay, sure, you can make that argument, but I'd rather just do it now and get someone on term, to be honest. And in terms of rentals, I think that kind of almost knocks them out of the goalie market, to be honest. I don't really see them getting a goalie at this point, but that's what I really have to say on that. Coming up to end the show, we're going to preview the game against the St. Louis Blues and how the Penguins can sweep the season series against them. That's all coming up right after this commercial break. All right, we're back here in this episode of the Locked On Penguins podcast. I'm, of course, your host, Hunter Hodes. Remember to follow me on Twitter at Hunter Hodes. Follow the show's Twitter at Eleanor Penguins. And, of course, thank you all so much for making this your first listen of the day. So, Penguins Blues, Saturday, 3:30 p.m. start time. We will find out if Kapanen will get claimed at about 2 p.m. Eastern time on Saturday. That is how waivers go. Real quickly here. This is a big story. So Warner Bros. Discovery. It sounds like they want out of the regional sports network business. They own AT&T Sportsnet. Yeah, so they operate them in Denver, Houston, and Pittsburgh, and they have a minority stake in the Root Sports channel in Seattle. And they have until March 31st to reach an agreement to take their rights back. If they cannot reach those deals, the channel's eventually planning to move forward with Channel 7 liquidation filing. I don't really know what that means. I guess it means maybe that the channel is going to cease to exist or something. I have to do some more research on that, but that is not good, to say the least. The Penguins may have to find a potential other, how do I want to say this? I think they're going to have to find a different company or channel to really just broadcast their games for regional. Hopefully maybe that ends the blackout restrictions, but that's not the first company that's really been dealing with this. Valley Sports Group, the company that owns them, they're going bankrupt. That's going to affect a lot of teams going forward. This is not ideal at all. So, and that also would affect the Pittsburgh Pirates as well. Their games are also on AT&T Sportsnet. So, definitely not good there. Maybe, ESPN Plus subscriptions for everyone, I think, at this point, people. Anyways, Penguins Blues on Saturday, 3:30 p.m. start time, nationally televised game on ABC and Hulu, ESPN Plus. I don't think it's going to be on AT&T Sportsnet. So this is a nationally televised game. Blues come into this game, they're ice cold. Craig Berube called out his team in a big way on Friday night. Basically said, he goes, I think, just go ask them. I don't think the top players care after their latest loss. Whoo, it's a bad time to be a Blues fan right now. That's a team that is really struggling. They just traded O'Reilly and Tarasenko. Jordan Binnington is a crybaby every night. Despite that, though, this is still a team that can hurt you. Brandon Saad, Robert Thomas, Jordan Kyrou on your top line. Thomas and Kyrou are two players that the Blues are going to build around. Very, very good players. Barbashev, Braden Shen, and Pavel Buchnevich. Strong top six, even without O'Reilly and Tarasenko. Sammy Blake, Logan Brown, Josh Levo, Tyler Pitlick, Nathan Walker, and then Alexei Torposhenko to round out their fourth line. Nick Leddy, Colton Parayko on the defense. Marco Scandella, Justin Falk, Tyler Tucker, and Robert Bortuzzo. Goaltending-wise, Thomas Greiss and Jordan Binnington. So, we'll have to see. I think probably Binnington is going to start there. Penguins got to get in his grill like they did last time. He is such a baby, man. I have respect for basically almost every player in this league. I have no respect for him. He is an absolute baby. I've never seen a guy talk so much smack outside of maybe Eli Apple, if we're comparing sports, and be so mid at his position. He's the absolute definition of mid. And for those that maybe are a little older that don't know what that means, just perfectly average. Get under his skin. He's very easy to get riled up. But the Penguins, they blew out this Blues team last time in Pittsburgh. That game was not even close at all. Penguins, if they can rectify what they did there, get pucks in deep, really forecheck aggressively. Defensemen need to, just stop giving up on rushes. If the goaltending can improve a little bit, and also just show some freaking effort. It really does not get any more simple than that. Teddy, you are really just panting your butt off over there. And I don't know why. I guess you're getting excited that the Penguins have a big game tomorrow. I think she is, guys. So, yeah, I mean, honestly, the keys for winning this game for the Penguins, it's pretty simple. Play a lot better than you did on Thursday against the Oilers. Another big one for me. Just show some fight, show some spirits. Act like these points mean something to you. Getting some depth scoring, that would be so huge right now as Ron Hextall figures out what he wants to do for the bottom six. They can get someone from down there to score. I don't care if it's Josh Archibald. I don't care if it's freaking Jeff Carter. I don't care if it's Brock McGinn. It would be really nice if he did anything because he hasn't had a point in 24 straight games at this point. That would be so huge. And again, getting to Binnington. He's been really bad this season. You're playing a Blues team that has sold. They may make a move at the deadline for Timo Meier just because they don't believe in long rebuilds. That's just not who they are. That's really all I'm looking at this point when it comes to this game. The Penguins have won 4 out of their last 5 games against the Blues. Coming into this one, they've also won 15 of 25 games against the Western Conference this season. This will be one of their last games against a West team. I believe after this, they have 2 against Nashville, 1 against Dallas, and I think that might be it. Oh, no, excuse me. 1 more against Chicago. I think after that, they do not have any other games left against the Western Conference. I'm going that based off my memory. 1 more. Yeah. They got 1 more again. Yeah. Dallas, Chicago, Nashville for Blues 5. I think that's it. I'm going based off my memory again. I'm pretty sure that's it, though. But I think this wraps up today's episode of the Locked On Penguins podcast. I know a little small preview there, but yeah, I think that's really all I have to say. As always, thank you all so much for listening. I really do appreciate it. I'll be back with another episode on Monday as we have a big week coming up in terms of content. We'll recap both games this weekend, get into some trade stuff, have some guests on for next week. It's going to be a lot of fun. Keep it right here on Locked On Penguins. As always, thank you all so much for listening. Have a great weekend. Have so much fun. We'll see what the Penguins can do this weekend as they try to get some much needed points in terms of playoff positioning. Talk to you all soon.